Hi, I'm Mary Allison Brown from Radiant Life Revolution. I'm a self care coach and mindset mentor for women who are ready to drop the guilt, know their worth, and show up as the very best version of themselves. I have my master's in social work, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about a time when I was working in child welfare. So, I was working full time in child welfare with kids who had been removed from their parents, which is a really difficult job. I had a 3.5-year-old and a newborn baby. I was volunteering, I was going a million miles a minute, and I was completely burnt out. But maybe not exactly what you might think of when you typically think of someone who's burnt out. Every day I was still able to show up for work and be fully present with my clients, like fully invested with my clients, fully emotionally available. On the surface, everything looked just fine. But under the surface, it was a totally different story. Under the surface, I was a hot mess. Yeah, I was showing up to work every day and being fully present and getting my job done. No issues there, but it was taking all of my inner strength and resources to be able to do that. I was muscling my way through. So that meant that the rest of my life was completely falling apart. At the end of the day, I was so physically and emotionally exhausted from dealing with all of the difficult work that I was doing that I had absolutely nothing left for my friends and family. The relationships that I should have been nurturing got pushed to the side, and I started to retreat within myself because I worried that I might be unkind to a friend who needed me, or snappy, or just completely not emotionally available. So, as you can imagine, it's probably not the best way to nurture relationships or to parent small children. So once I started to recognize this problem, I did what any sane and rational person would do. I started a business. Because of course it always makes perfect sense when you're stretched way too thin to add just one more thing to your plate. I had this idea that if I could build something of my own, that then I could eventually leave the job and have more time for my relationships, more emotional availability for my friends and my family. As it turned out, the big problem with my plan was that I was always placing my happiness, joy, and fulfillment somewhere over there in the future. I was always chasing those things, but never actually able to achieve them. Imagine a horse with a carrot dangling in front of its nose. The horse knows that the carrot's there. It can see the carrot. It can smell the carrot. The carrot's so close that the horse can almost taste the carrot. The yearning for the carrot becomes greater and greater and greater because it's so close, it's right there. And the horse's need for the carrot gets more and more desperate. And yet, the horse never gets the carrot. Over time, the horse becomes more and more discouraged and frustrated until eventually it just gives up and accepts the fact that it's never going to get the carrot. The carrot is never going to be within its reach. The horse may even begin to believe that somehow it's not worthy of the carrot. That's the same thing that happens to us when we decide that our happiness, joy, and fulfillment are contingent on some other factors somewhere in the future. Those things become unattainable, always just out of our reach. Even when we reach a certain milestone, the target moves. The happiness, joy, and fulfillment that we're seeking is always just out of our reach. So we're constantly striving, grasping, reaching for it, never actually attaining it. So in my story, what happened next was a game changer. I quit, literally and metaphorically. I quit the job, but more importantly, I decided to quit the thought pattern that my happiness, joy, and fulfillment were contingent on something else that I could maybe reach them if only I tried just a little bit harder. I embraced the fact that this moment, right now, is really all that we ever have. It was slow at first, but I began to embrace it more deeply over time. I began to learn that if we can't appreciate the present and feel those things, that happiness, joy, and fulfillment right now, we're never going to catch them in the future, no matter how fast we run or how hard we try. I learned that it doesn't do anyone any good to continuously strive and push and reach if you can't press pause and learn to appreciate what's around you already. Realizing those things changed my life. It changed the way that I show up in my relationships, and it changed the way that I parent. My job now is to help coach other women who are ready to stop placing their happiness, joy, and fulfillment somewhere off in the distant future, and help women understand and learn how to be present with gratitude and appreciation for all that they already have, while also continuing to grow. You deserve happiness, joy, and fulfillment right now. You are inherently worthy. Take a moment and think about, how are you placing your happiness, joy, and fulfillment out there somewhere in the future? What are those things contingent upon for you? And how can you change the story?